keeps readers coming back? The emotional trigger. Readers read just like you watch movies a second or third time because you want to recapture that experience you had the first time you watched the movie. Catch things you missed because you were so emotionally engaged with the movie that you need to go back and get a little more of that, see more of the three-dimensionality that was presented. Same thing with a book. Read between the lines, see what's not there as much as what is there, get that emotional trigger, get that dopamine hit, get that enjoyment that you had the previous time you read it. There are people who reread a book every single year because it energizes them. It brings them back to what they felt the first time. So the emotional trigger, that's one of the biggest things that you can provide in a book that will keep readers coming back. And Michael Anderle set that standard when he said, I wanted to write books that people wanted to reread. So I think that is the gold standard. When people are rereading your books, they rather read your book a second time than go pick up a new book because it did something for them. It has characters that they like. They don't get a visceral reaction of, oh my God, I hate these characters. I'm going to keep reading because it's a great story, but I hate all these characters. No, they're not going to do that. If they hate the characters, they're not going to keep reading. So characters that they like, characters that they can relate to, characters that are consistent. And this is one thing that my beta readers help me with is sometimes I'll do some things with characters and they'll catch it and they'll say, that doesn't sound like her. Great. Let me go fix that because I do want it to sound like her. I want that consistency with those characters. I don't want them jumping out of character for the readers because that will take them out of the story. Never give your readers a reason to stop reading. You want them to pick up the book, keep reading, and want to keep reading until they finish the story and be excited for the next book. That's the win. So it's a story that they can get into. The characters carry the story forward, but still the story has to be interesting. There has to be that conflict. There has to be the resolution. There has to be the big bad thing that they're going against. Even in romance, it's still, you're working against something. There's friction. You're resolving that, and in the end, people win and they're happy. This is what we're looking for. I don't do horror, so horror has a different trope in entirety. But you still have to. I still want to see that win, and people like to read about the win and how you got there. The promise for more. This is when you write a series, or even if you write standalones that then can be sold in relation, like a brand. Look at Jules Verne, bunch of standalones, but they were all cool. So you just read them. And that's that promise for more. Hey, this is Jules Verne's book. I need to read it. or H.G. Wells, the classics. The promise for more. So that's where you don't want to resolve every single one of your tendrils, because maybe that's a short story that you write later. Hey, here's a subplot that's hanging. What do we do with it? You can answer it in a short story. You keep your readers happy. It's 1,000, 2,000 words, even flash fiction. Just something you keep your readers happy, and then they want to come back for more because, the end isn't always necessarily the end. And if you're writing series like I do, because series have value, it's easier to sell 10 books to one person than one book to 10 different people. Because every person you sell a book to, that's an individual challenge, an individual effort. It comes at a personal cost, an individual cost, whether you're doing Facebook advertising, Amazon advertising, BookBub ads, featured deals, you're paying this big sum and trying to contact these readers. So you're paying for those readers. It's good to have them on board and then keep them coming back without having to pay every time you try to get them to come back. That's the cool thing about 10 books to one person. So I write series. Okay, what's not in that list of what keeps readers coming back? Technical perfection. For those people who will spend a day fussing over a comma, should I put a comma here or not? You're wasting your time. You're wasting a massive amount of time because the readers probably won't notice. Now, if you're writing academic technical books, nonfiction, then yes, you do want to have everything absolutely perfect. If you're a lawyer, there was a lawsuit in Canada where a comma was misplaced and it cost a client $3 million or something like that because the comma, it could have been read differently. That's not us. Look at fiction. Fiction, it's okay if you have if you scatter commas like glitter. It's so cool, unless you're the editor, like my editor. Commas everywhere, commas for everybody. But don't slave away on that. Don't worry about things that aren't going to increase your readership. The characters, the story, the emotional triggers, those are what bring readers back, not whether you had a comma in that sentence or not. So don't waste time with stuff that really isn't going to drive your readers away. Now, if you have a typo on every page, that could. I've read books there was a typo on every page, and still I read through to the end because the story was so engaging. Now, I did contact the author later once we got to about the same level of authordom and said, "Hey, man, you got some typos." He's like, "Oh, hey, I had that taken care of." So because there's a certain thing you want to do. Don't give the readers a reason to stop reading, but don't slave away over that. Oh my God, I better read it for the 100th time to make sure that last typo isn't there, because you'll keep messing with it. Don't worry about it. Great characters, great story. Give them something to come back to. All right, everybody, you have a great day.